great to be back at MPW. Adam, thanks for getting us down to see Ross's Mustang. We've given it a rip on the dyno. It's made awesome numbers.
It's pretty impressive, hey?
The engine combo is the one that we featured on the channel. Dandy engines. Frank and Lou put the combination together for us, and we did a lot of testing. And so you've got it tuned up. How'd you find the engine combo?
In our world, this is a very basic engine combo. This is all off-the-shelf parts. You expect to just hop in something like this and have it be an average deal. But from 1300 RPM, 100% throttle, it's making boost, it has a clean run every time. The torque that this thing makes down low and through the whole rev range, and that's really the impressive part about this. As I say, there is nothing out of this world about this engine combo, and it does everything superbly.
It's a small block Ford. It's a 363 cubic inch. It's a Ford Performance, a Ford Boss block, some off-the-shelf aluminium heads, basic rotating assembly.
Very small camshaft, really.
Yeah, I think a 230, 250 range, and Frank spec'd that for us, and we wanted to make it relatable. Like the Windsor's a popular Ford engine in this country, but it's also massively popular in the US as well, which we're now selling in the kit. It's got our TVS2650 Supercharger. The front cover assembly runs the cable actuation. Importantly, fuel tech engine control, which has been fantastic to work with from your point of view.
Oh, it's been amazing. Tuning on this car has just been second to none. A lot of it was done on the engine dyno, and everybody says, oh, but why do you come back to a hub dyno to tune them afterwards? And it's because of that 1300, 1000 RPM up to 4500 RPM under load, things that we don't do on an engine dyno. You look at 870 horsepower, so that's, let's call that 950 being conservative at the flywheel at the moment, without super aggressive camshafts, as I say, 1300 RPM usable upwards. You have a big NA engine or something like that and you're useless under 3.5 grand. So the drivability of something like this is just going to be amazing.
And it's punchy, like it's a 363 cubic inch engine. We're only seeing what peak boost of 12 or 13 pounds, like the blower's right in.
And that's right at the end of the run too. Like this is sitting on 11 PSI as I showed you the data log. So on the fuel tech, we can bring up the data log and actually overlay over our runs. And Heath and I were going through it before, and you can see it's 11 pound of boost until 6,700 RPM. And then it just starts creeping up after that. So it's not highly strung. It's only got a 75mm top pulley on it. It's really not working hard. It's just getting efficient.
Yeah, it's got the full CVF drive that we offer that's got power steering and AC. Like it's just a stunning car, and it's got all of the creature comforts that Ross is going to enjoy cruising with. So MPW does some incredible builds, from amazing street cars like this right through to some pretty serious drag and drive. You've had a lot of experience with superchargers and turbos.
Yeah, of course. And look, something like this street car, if we were to put a twin turbo setup on this, there goes our down low response, there goes our drivability, there goes any kind of track usability with this car, and that's where we would push a blower customer down. Somebody who wants to go out and run 6-second quarter mile passes, that's where we start pushing our turbos. Somebody who wants to go out and run 8s or 9s in a new car, then we find that turbos are a bit easier to do that. If they're driving them on the street, blowers hands down. Just that instant throttle response, and you'll notice how snappy this thing is. And the throttle response that you actually get out of it is just next level. And the drivability and the seat of your pants feel is something that you get more of with a blower than a turbo.
And there's differences with packaging. Like a big turbo build there's a lot of work, a lot of fabrication.
There's a lot of maintenance, and that's the thing people don't get, is the maintenance that's involved with them. With a blower, you're going to actually take some of the power that you make to drive that blower, but the torque is still through the roof. So if you're making a 1000 horsepower turbo, 1000 horsepower blowing, you're going to be on a par.
And let's be honest, in a beautiful car like this with 870 horsepower, it's more than enough to keep it.
I think Ross is in for a bit of a shock when he drives this. So the one thing that's really surprised us with this build, and we go back to going turbo versus blower, is the under bonnet temps that we would have on a turbo car with this is just crazy. You risk paint, it's busy, everything else, but this is so efficient that we're not even warming up intake air temps at the moment. So we've just done pulls back to back, and they've all been over 800 horsepower, and our intake air temps are at like 50 degrees. Now, if you're out on the open road, it's actually going to be cooler than that with the ram air effect that you're having come through the front. You don't have underbonnet temps. We're not having high intake air temps or anything like that, which is just going to make this thing repeatable and super efficient.
Yeah, absolute compliment to MPW in terms of the fabrication and 3D scanning. Like you're using advanced manufacturing to make the presentation as impressive as it is, like from the cooling package right through to that impressive intake duct. It's really a show-worthy engine bay.
Well, look, everything, as we were talking before, everything, whether it's one of our big all-out drag cars or whether it's something like this, it has to be done to a quality standard. Everything has to fit. Everything has to be packaged neatly. And that's where that 3D scanning and being able to draw it in CAD and see what it's like before you make 4 intakes that don't fit. You draw 4 intakes and you know how it's going to sit.
And ultimately, the customer just wants to be able to get in the car and turn the
They don't want to know any of this. They just want to be able to go in and hit a button and do that every day that they want to drive it.
Something exciting the engineers have been working on is, this is an 8.2 inch deck height, which is quite popular, but the taller 9.5 inch, we've now got an adapter assembly as well. So we'll show that on the screen to run this supercharger on the bigger capacity like a 427 Windsor.
It would be really nice to see something like a 2650 on, let's call it a Tirana with a small block Chev into it, or like a HQ 2-door with a big block Chev in it. As I say, for packaging reasons and engineering, streetability, and all that kind of gear. Is that something that Harrop's working on at the moment with small block Chev as well? Is that in mind?
Yeah, imminently we're releasing the small block Chev. That'll be at SEMA. Yep. And big block Chev we've had out for about 12 months. But you're right, a lot of customers, particularly big block Chev, I know this is a Ford, but that big block Chev's got such an iconic, sort of, they don't want to take it out and put an LS in it.
Yeah.
So that's where we've got a system that's very similar to this, highly efficient, and again, it's not going to make the ultimate horsepower of twins, but for a PD blower with drivability and a nice flat torque curve, it's a great option.
But you also look at some of the big blocks we have here with, we call them hot air pumps, with 671s and 871s on them, and they're not making any power at all. They sound like they're making power, but they don't. At least something like a 2650, they make power and they're efficient, and that's the difference.
Well, mate, I think that's a great idea. Customer with a big block Chev that wants to do the supercharger package, let's get together and put a program together.
I think we'll be in touch about that one.
Thanks to the team and yourself for getting this happening. Ross obviously will be thrilled to get the car, and it's making fantastic power, and everything that MPW have done to pull the build together is nothing short of spectacular.
It's not just MPW, as you understand and everybody out there seems to miss over. It's the team of people that worked on it, from Harrop, Automotive Creations, Lou and Frank at Dandy Engines, Nads at Fuel Tech Australia, and us guys here at MPW. It's just been a good team to work with.
Yeah, the industry in Australia is fantastic, and it's great to get great companies like ours together, and you're right, that team is what achieves an outcome like this. So learn more about the supercharger for the small block Ford, both 8.2 inch and 9.5 inch on our websites, both in the US and Australia. Thanks for watching, we'll catch you next time.